And see if you can follow your breathing from the inhale all the way to the exhale, just with your attention. And now I want you to start paying attention of where you're feeling your breath in on your rib cage. Like what parts of your body expand slowly as you breathe in. And see if you can just pretend to draw this circle with a marker of where that's expanding. Your chest, your sides, your belly, and just really hold on to that. And now start exaggerating your breaths in. So breathe in harder through your nose. And now see how that changes of where you feel the air going in. It should be a little easier to pay attention to that. So exaggerate your breaths in, breathe in hard. And take a small break. Now you're going to fully exhale through your mouth. So take a breath in through your nose. And then everybody's muted, but if you weren't, I should be able to hear it. Should be long, about 10, 12 seconds. So just practice that a few times and pay attention to what it feels like to deflate everything. Think of every inch of air as being pulled out by fully exhaling. And take a break. So we introduce 2 to 3 moves at a time, and we go 3 rounds. So first one, feet on the ground, knees bent, elbows bent, fingertips towards the ceiling. So you'll start with one arm up. Notice my chest kind of rotates to the side. Just make sure you're not picking up your neck when you do that, but do allow the chest to rotate a little bit, and then you're gonna fully exhale. You should take about 10 seconds to slowly drop because it has to be as long as your exhale. So fog up that glass, exhale, 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 and then inhale, you'll reach with the opposite arm, and then exhale down, inhale up. And I encourage people to close their eyes and just pay attention to where your hands are in space. And I want you to go slow. Inhale as you reach up, shoulders come off, or shoulder comes off the ground. Exhale, fully deflate your whole body as your arm slowly comes down. Each exhale, you go a little longer. And allow the shoulder to come off the ground as you reach up. Go straight up towards the ceiling. So fingertips should be straight. And take a break. You're going into your lat stretch. So it's a rock back lat stretch. You'll push your butt back to your heels. This sometimes people feel more comfortable with a pillow between their heels and their hips. Oh, sorry. Elbows down. You're going to take your right hand and reach it across. And you should get a stretch from your right shoulder all the way down to your right hip. And then you're going to do the breathing in through the nose. Fill up the right side. And Julia, bring your left elbow down a little bit towards your knee. Perfect. And I want you to focus on breathing in and filling up the right side. And notice where you feel all that tightness as you expand. What parts of your rib cage feel stiff as you breathe in with air? And think of everything going to the right. And now take your right arm down, left arm across. Full breath out. And notice where you feel tight on the left side as you breathe in. If you could point with your fingers where that is on your rib cage, just bring that attention to that part. And take a break. Now we're going to pelvic tilt. So hook line position, feet on the floor. This is where you want to work with what you have. So if you can untuck and it feels pretty good, go ahead and do that. For some people that can be uncomfortable. So you're going to alternate from untucking your hips to tucking your hips, rolling your hips, rolling your hips. So you get a little bit of a glute bridge. Tailbone comes off the ground. And then you go back to untucking your hips. And then the opposite, back and forth. You can just breathe through your nose for this. On this, you're just really paying attention to the move that you're doing, which is the rolling of your hips. So work with what you have. Move in the range that feels good. And just go back and forth between tucking and untucking. And put a lot of attention to your feet. And slow peel as you roll your hips. And think of your feet tucking your hips for you, and then they're controlling your hips on the way down. And if you get distracted, go back to the move that you're doing, which is rolling the hips, and then go back to your feet. Awesome, everybody looks good. Now we're gonna go back to laying on your back with the reach, but this time you're gonna pick your legs up. I want your low back on the ground. So find a position that's challenging, but you're able to do. So knees closer to your chest, that makes it easier. Knees further away, that makes it a lot harder. So find what's challenging, being able to keep your low back on the ground. Breathing stays the same. Inhales, you reach up. Exhale, deflate, deflate. You should feel a ton of abs, but still go slow. Inhale, reach up to find what's challenging, but also comfortable. There's a lot to pay attention here, so pick the position you're holding, your hands, your breathing. And each inhale, reach a little more. If your abs get tired, your feet can come down and you can keep doing the reaching. And take a break. Back to the lat stretch, starting on the right side. So butt to your heels, elbows down, reach the right arm across. Not only are you breathing into your right side, this time, think of deflating the left. So as you're exhaling, just picture your whole left side of your rib cage, getting all the air out, and then it's all going to the right. Exhale, left side. All the air comes out. Inhale, right side inflates. And go to the right side, right arm down, left arm across. And now you're exhaling, getting all the air out of the right side. Inhale the left. This should always feel like a nice, intense stretch. Nothing should ever hurt or feel pinchy. So always feel free to change the range of motion on anything. And then go back to your glute bridge. This time, less untucking, more tucking. So you're gonna go into a glute bridge a little more. So a little bit of an untuck, and then the front of your hip should roll up, and you're rolling, rolling. You're using your feet to push into the ground, and then slowly control it on the way down. And your feet should always have that constant feedback. They're pushing and rolling your hips for you, and then they're controlling you on the way down. Slow peel, one vertebrae at a time as you're rolling up. And rest. Back to the reaching. Knees around 90 degrees. Inhale, reach up towards the ceiling, not across, but you're reaching up so high that your chest is starting to turn. Head is relaxed. Exhale down. With your attention, just follow your hands. They're either deflating or inflating. And then back to the lat stretch. See if on one inhale, you're gonna go right side first. See if on one inhale, you can get everything to expand from your shoulder all the way down your hip. So low back, mid back, upper back on the side, expand on one breath in. So you can even exaggerate the breath in to make that happen. So full breath out and expand from your shoulder all the way down your hip. Now take your right arm down, left side across. Can you get everything to expand from your left shoulder all the way down your hip on one inhale, even if you have to breathe in a little harder? And rest. Back to the glute bridge, which you're going to hold, and we're going to do 2 of them. So you're going to go about halfway, so you're going to start rolling your hips. What you don't want to do is just pick up your hips. It's getting picked up because you're rolling. So you continue to roll, eventually come up about halfway. Knees are straight, so don't let them drive out. And then hold that position. Really think, because you're pushing into your feet, that's how you're able to hold your hips in that position. And that's what lifting weights is finding your feet and pushing into the ground. That's the initial cue I'll use with people who are first starting. So roll your hips and hold. Because you're pushing into your feet, that's how you're able to hold yourself up. That's how you learn how to leverage your hamstrings and glutes. And relax for a second, feel everything relax. And then whenever you're ready, you're gonna go one more time. And roll your hips slowly. Knees are straight. What muscles do you feel? And relax. So next one, the inverted cat-cow. Without anything in the upper body moving. So really good way to set up here to make sure you're not rounding over is allow everything to kind of relax and sag forward. From there, you're gonna push your shoulders straight up just a little bit. So notice I'm staying straight. I'm not getting shorter. So I push straight up and then slight tuck through your hips. And the move is exhale, back pockets get pulled up, inhale, back pockets get pulled down. And that's all you're doing. You're alternating in your mind. Your exhale, back pockets are up. Inhale, back pockets are down. And think of only the hips moving. So exhale, untuck, back pockets are up. Inhale, back pockets get pulled down towards your knees. Awesome. And in your mind, you're just going from tucking to untucking. Back pockets down, back pockets up. And do whatever feels good. Move your hips as much as you can, as long as it's just the hips. Jesse, that's a lot better than last time I saw it. And relax. You're gonna go back on your back. Now we're practicing the exhaling, and we do this one every time. So I want a full breath out. A lot of people know that we want tension in the abs, so they'll like actively try to brace. I don't want any of that. All the tension that you create is because you got all the air out. And then you're gonna hold for 5 seconds. And in your mind, you're gonna hold on. And then as you breathe in, you just relax completely. So you're gonna lay on your back, look like this, in through the nose. All the air out. Hold for 5 seconds and notice all the tension that you created. And then notice how, as you relax, you just automatically breathe in. And that's what you'll do back and forth. In through the nose, full breath out through your mouth. And Michael, you can go with the pursed lips, slow exhale. And at the end of the exhale, you should feel all this tension that you created by getting all the air out. And hold on to that for about 5 seconds. It should feel pretty uncomfortable. And then as soon as you relax, you almost automatically breathe in. Each exhale, go a little longer. And completely let go on the inhale. And notice where the breathing goes. It's usually very superficial, like your chest, the front of your rib cage. You should feel pretty uncomfortable, and that's normal. When I exhale until it feels uncomfortable. And rest. You're gonna stay there. You're gonna reach. So both arms are up this time, and you're gonna stay there the whole time. You're gonna fully exhale. Notice my hands are slightly down, angled down. So they're almost parallel to my thighs, so not up here. My shoulders still come off the ground. And allow your chin to fall back, but keep your head relaxed. So in through the nose. You're reaching through your fingertips. Someone's pulling you from your arms the whole entire time. And make a conscious effort at relaxing your head. And you'll just stay there for breaths. In through the nose, and then you're reaching up. Someone's pulling you from the fingertips. Each exhale, you reach a little more. And rest. Back to the cat-cow on all fours, where it's only hips moving. Inhale, tuck the tailbone, tuck the hips. Exhale, back pockets get pulled up. And all the attention, back pockets. They're driving all of the motion. They're either being pulled up or they're being pulled down. And see if you can add a little bit more motion with what you're doing now, either up or down. And then back to the breathing, laying on your back. And same thing, full breath out. And in your mind, go, I'm holding on to the tension, and then I'm letting it go. Holding on to the tension, and I'm letting it go after 5 seconds. Being able to differentiate between the two is very important, especially on the training floor. Make your exhale long. If it's too fast, you'll overbrace. Hold for 5 seconds before you let go. And see if you can start holding it a little longer. Get a little more uncomfortable. What does it feel like to be completely empty for about 6, 7 seconds? It should feel really good to breathe back in. And rest for a few seconds. Whenever you're ready, you're going to start reaching. Allow your shoulders to go up. Chin comes up a little bit, but keep your head relaxed. If people feel a lot of tension in their neck, usually a pillow can help. You're being pulled by your fingertips. Keep reaching, keep exhaling. You should feel your low back kind of hit the ground as you're exhaling. And rest. Last cat-cow. This time, I want you to pull the back pockets down so much that you start to pull your spine with you. So not how we would do a plank, but you're here, you're exhaling, and then inhaling, tuck, 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 you're pulling, pulling, and then everything kind of comes with it. And then exhaling, everything drops. So you're moving your spine a lot more on this round. But it's still all being driven just by the back pockets. So move as much as you can, as long as it feels good. It's not being driven by you crunching your stomach. It's just being driven by the back pockets being pulled down. Nice job. Tuck, Michael. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Awesome. And then back to your back. So you've just been practicing finding the tension and then letting it go. Finding the tension and letting it go. This time, you're not going to let go. So you're going to fully exhale, hold for 5 seconds, and then don't let go of the tension as you breathe in. The breathing in should feel much deeper. And then continue with the cycle. Back to full exhale. Don't let go of the tension. You're breathing underneath the tension. The breathing should stay the same. It might feel like you're not getting enough air in. That's normal. Might feel a little uncomfortable. Just continue the breath cycle. And relax. If you're a little relieved after it's done, that means you did it right. You're going to go one more time. Same thing. Another way to keep the tension is as you fully exhale and you feel your low back on the ground, keep it there as you breathe in. So do the same thing, but now just pay attention to your low back on the ground. Full breath out. Keep your low back on the ground as you take a breath in. And rest. One more reach with your legs up. So find that position which is challenging to keep your low back on the ground, but you're able to maintain it. So that could be here, here. Same thing with the arms, in through the nose. Full breath out. Allow the ribs to come down because you're fully exhaling, not because you're crunching. And just hold. Each exhale, you reach a little more. You're keeping the position the same. And rest. Nice job. Now we're going into a squat hold. So, the stance, feet straight ahead, and then hip width apart. You won't be squatting very low. So you're in this position. Your back pockets are going to get pulled down to the move that you've just been practicing. Notice how that automatically brings my knees forward. From there, I'm not sitting back. I'm going straight down, which you can't go very far unless you have a ramp or you probably have a weight. So back pockets get pulled down. Squat down a little bit and then reach down and hold. In through the nose. Let's see. This looks good. Perfect. So whenever you're ready, pull the back pockets down and hold as you tuck and squat down a tiny bit. Perfect, Julia, right there. Tuck a little more. Perfect. Nice, Lacey. Christine, tuck a little more. And the same thing, think of your feet holding you up there. The new people struggle feeling their feet and they tend to go on their toes. And then as you come up, you're pushing into your feet. You're keeping your tailbone tucked all the way to the top position. Awesome. And now we're going into walkouts. So hip width apart, you're just gonna round over. You're gonna exhale as you go into your push-up position, but your chest is always reaching up towards the ceiling. And then once you're here, you're gonna inhale, butt up in the air. You can choose to come up if you want, or you can just stay down. So exhale. You have to go as long as your exhale. And inhale, butt up in the air, push away with your arms. Exhale, walk yourself into a push-up position, hold that nice reach, and now think of your hands doing all of the work as you inhale, push away, butt up in the air. Awesome. And you can stand between each one, or you can just hang out there. But you're always reaching with your arms, especially on the way back up. Nice job. And take a break. Back to the squat. So hip width apart, feet straight ahead. So look at your feet. And then start with your knees straight. So when your knees are straight, it's really hard to tuck your tailbone. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull the back pockets down. Notice your knees slightly bend a little bit. So start with that first. So knees are straight, pull the back pockets down, allow the knees to bend a little bit, and then just shoot the knees forward, squat down, and that's plenty. And hold that position. You should feel hamstrings, you might feel glutes, definitely quads. Much better. Lots of tension on your feet. They're holding you up there because you're pushing into them. Keep reaching, keep exhaling. And to get ready to come up, start pushing into your feet, but keep the position of your hips all the way to the top. Make a nice finish on your deadlift or squats, and then back to walkouts. You're exhaling on the way out. And then keep your tuck as you inhale, push away. Your arms are always pushing away. Your chest is always being pushed up towards the ceiling. Awesome. Take a break. One more squat. This time you're going up and down, but you're only going to go down to that spot that you found the last time. And then the breathing. So back pockets down. You're going to inhale on the way down. That's as far as I'll go. So I have to come up very slow because I have to exhale on the way up. So exhale, full breath out, full breath out. Don't straighten your knees all the way. And then inhale, drop. Exhale. Inhale. Whenever you're ready. Inhale on the way down. The tailbone is tucked. And then keep it tucked as you exhale. You're pushing into your feet. Awesome. Really good. Lacey, a lot better from last week. Perfect. Then one more set of walkouts. No matter how much you train, the squats will always be hard, especially done that way. You're always pushing away with your arms. And then as you walk yourself back up, your arms are doing all of the work, doing like a little overhead press. And rest. So now you're going to end with what you started with, which is just focusing on your regular breathing. And I want you to go back to feeling your breath, regular breath in through your nose and where you feel it. And just see if you can hold on to that for a few minutes. Whenever you're ready, start moving around. Nice job. Everybody looked great today. Lacey, it's hilarious how much your dog loves you. I'm gonna lick her hair. I'm gonna lick her foot. I'm gonna bring my toy. Oh. Let's see. I'm gonna wait. Unmute you all. How was that?
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
Yeah, you all did really good. So that would look, what this looks like is like someone who's already trained with me, like has these cues down. I don't know if you've ever like tried to teach someone the breathing and then they have to like take breaths between the breaths. Like you're asking them to fully exhale and then inhale and like, and then fully exhale. So that probably wouldn't be, it would be too much for them. So with them, I slow it down a little bit and less movement. But I've learned to appreciate the attention to it. I'm taking a lot from Sam Harris and his meditation app of how he explains meditating and being mindful. And it's really just being able to pay attention. So I'm really taking that idea when it comes to all these moves. For example, like people being able to differentiate between holding on to the tension and letting go, holding on and letting go. And it's like giving them the opportunity to become competent in these little details that I would like for them to know on the training floor. Because it can be very hard for them. Did you all hear my bike story last week? I think I finally felt like the client did. And it's been over a decade since I've been on a bike, and my mom dropped it off. And in my mind, I thought it's easy because I've been on one before. So we had to fill up the tires. And I don't know if I just gotten done meditating. So I don't know if I was just out of it. And I'm like looking at the bike and I'm like, I don't even know how to get on. Like, how do you get on a bike? Like, do you put your foot on the pedal? How do you balance the bike? Oh shit, I forget how to ride a bike. And my mom's like, hey, hop on the bike, see if it works. See, that's how you can tell. I'm like, no, it's cool. I think it's good. She goes, no, hop on. I'm like, no, it's good, Mom. It's fine. And like, I got like defensive. I'm like, I'll try it later. Like when I can put the bike against something and like hop on. So with clients, when I'm trying to get them to do all these cues, like in a squat, it's like they've never been in a squat, they've never done it standing up, and they're like, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm like, okay. And I feel like that's probably the same thing. It's too much. So like learning how to drive a car, if you expected me to learn all the gadgets right away, like that would be way too much. It's like I have to practice, like, okay, this is reverse, this is drive, this is reverse, this is drive. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this stuff, like back pocket down, back pocket up, back pocket down. So when I'm training them, hopefully it's, hey, back pocket down, and it's just automatic. So that's where my thought process is with that. It's like, what do I really want them to know? Because I don't cue untuck at all at the gym, but it's not bad to do. And it's good for them to understand the difference between the two. And before we closed down, I actually started doing that a lot. Like we do a lot of quadruped tucking for people that don't take cues well. And at first I was like, oh, just try to move through your hips. But then even the wording of differentiate between, the purpose of this exercise is for you to differentiate between a tuck and an untuck. Just, that's what I want you to think. So I'm hoping that in their mind, they're like, untuck, tuck, untuck, tuck, versus like, I'm just trying to do what she told me to do.
Well, I actually like the back pocket a lot more because I'm in a wealthy neighborhood in Chicago, and I get a ton of people from bar. And so they're like built like you and me, and they're like all rectus as they move their pelvis. So I stopped using the word tuck because it became like a pelvic floor rectus problem. So I really like the back pocket. I'm going to use that because then they won't think of like bar class.
Yeah, perfect. Another thing that works too for people like that overdo it.
Right.
When people are doing the tucking, I'll say effortless. Make it effortless. So like touch your abs. Like that should not be working. That we're like getting an idea of what it's like to tuck without.
Yeah. And I didn't used to be afraid of it, but like now, like my clients are a little bit different. And like if they go to Pure Barre, like the second I say tuck, you like see their body change in a way I don't like. And it's nothing against Pure Barre.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's hard too. It's like when they're already doing something else and like, well, we do things differently here. When something that I've been saying, because a big thing with this too is I don't want people to induce a fragile mindset. And my wording is like very specific of you're just paying attention to your body. You're becoming coordinated. Because what I don't want, which I've done in the past and every other trainer's done in the past, they now think that it's good or bad. So if I'm not tucked, I'm going to hurt myself. And then they start to overthink it. So just changing the wording of you're just becoming coordinated with your body. When they suck at it, it's like okay to suck. I'm like, it's fine. Like everybody sucks at this at first. Like it's new, it's a skill, versus them thinking they suck because they're wrong or they're broken. Bad posture. If someone has pain during this or on the training floor, another word that I've been using or phrase is when they ask, well, why did that make it better? Before, in the past, I used to say, because now I had you do it perfect, or now you have good form, or now it's not bad. Now I say, well, you distribute the weight differently in your body, so now you feel those areas that you want to feel. And when someone asks about breathing, we did a video for our clients of how to have a strong upper body and pain-free upper body. And then we said we use breathing. And then I said, not because breathing fixes pain or because breathing is right. It's because if we maximize your ability to breathe and be able to move, you are now able to load your body in certain positions that feel good. And it consistently gets us abs, it consistently gets us glutes and hamstrings. So it just allows you to distribute the load in your body a little differently versus saying you just did it wrong. So that's worked really well. And then the work with what you have is another one. People, because everybody has those people. Like, it hurts. So I meet with those people, I immediately know, like, work with what you have. If you can just squat a little bit, that's good. So now when they tell me they can't do an exercise, I'll repeat myself again. I'm like, well, work with what you have. What can you do? And then we'll be able to do more there. That way I don't demonize the move. Or I find a regression and I almost trick them. I had a client who just messaged me saying he can't do the walkouts. I think that's he can't do the walkouts because his wrists are too arthritic and they can't something pretty bad wording. So then I asked, okay, good to know. Can you do quadruped walkout on your knees? Like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, perfect. So that's the same thing. So same movement, same load. It's just a little easier. So let's work with what you have now. And I bet you could do walkouts here eventually. So there I immediately put it in their head that just because you can't do it right now doesn't mean you can't do it later on. Because that's what most people tend. It's like they do a step up, it hurt one time, like, okay, I can't do step ups. So trying to convince them not to be scared. Did anyone have any issues throughout the whole thing? No? Cool.
I have a question, Lucy, real quick. So I just get a little FAI sometimes, lately with my left hip. I've just had a couple surgeries on it. So like if it kind of pinches back here, what position would you put someone in if you're getting just like maybe some pinching up front?
Either pillow behind your legs or behind your butt. If that's not enough, I will go just full on quadruped. So shift back and then here, trying to get the same stretch.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Good question. Any other questions about anything?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Jesse.
Okay. Sometimes when we do like the hook lying position and then you have us come up into a bridge, I never feel it when you have us do it with our feet elevated, but when they're flat on the floor, sometimes I feel like I get just as much quad as hamstring. Is there a way to go about, like, does that matter? Is there a way to like change that?
So you're saying you're feeling more quad when your feet are on the ground?
Yeah, so like if my feet are elevated on the chair like we've done sometimes, all hamstring, all glute, but if my feet are on the ground, I feel like I get a lot of quad.
Yes, for sure. So what you're feeling is the quad being stretched.
Okay.
So you're in the hook lying position, and you'll see that with people who are really strong. And I would say that's normal. Here, your knees bent more than 90, so you're already putting quad on stretch. And then now you're pulling the quad even more. So very similar to why you feel quad in a half kneeling position, by just being pulled apart. That's why you feel it in hook lying.
Okay.
I would say that's fine if it's just like on the training floor. But if you are doing like an assessment and trying to create some changes, if they're feeling a ton of quad and not glutes and hamstrings a ton, then you probably want to move them to a 90-90 to increase some hip extension. But yeah, it's normal. And it should be less and less. Julia, what was your question?
Oh, it wasn't a question. It was just like a positive comment that I have a lot of trouble doing any breathing stuff without feeling a ton of rectus abdominis. And today I just didn't. So I really appreciated your cues. It was really helpful to like be motivated to commit more than like 3.5 minutes when I don't feel like doing breathing stuff, to have like a pleasant routine.
Cool. That's awesome. That's really cool. And very similar to what I said about like having an opportunity to just pay attention to that
Right.
and just kind of slowing it down. And I really appreciate slowing it down for clients. The way I introduced breathing today, or did the breathing today, is very similar how I introduce breathing to a new person. I'm like, all right, let's go over the ab component. So I want you to just focus on fully exhaling. And I just like let them practice that a few times. I'm like, perfect. Now I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to pause at the end. Do that 5-10 times. I'm like, awesome. Like, now I want you to do that and do this. And then by the time we do like a full-on 90-90 tilts, they've done like 30 exhales. So I appreciate the slow progress and then the slow cues. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, same thing on the positive feedbacks, I guess. Yeah, same for me. Like, I really like it how you break it down to the 3 different, like, hips, abs, shoulders, or like the upper thorax kind of part, because for me, like, the biggest issue is like people don't know what is tuck and untuck. And then basically that should be the first step to like, okay, this is untuck, this is tuck. Because like sometimes I tell that to people and they totally do the opposite. I'm like, what world do you live in? But in the meantime, I understand, like, they haven't done it for like somebody who's like 60 years old. Like, how many times do you really use your hips in that motion? I think not so much. So I think, yeah, I understand that they need to learn, but I really like all of these ones are super good, like brick, like basics and everything, and the foundation and everything. And I read the article about the onboarding, and yeah, it's super good exercises to break it down and really, really get the hang of it at the beginning, for sure. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. That's awesome. Yeah, now I can't imagine, like, I used to try to get a new person to do like a 90-90 single leg tilt with one arm reach and shift. I could do that. No wonder people got frustrated. Yeah, like a new person, it looks very similar to what we do now. It's just less flowy, more reps. Like 5 breaths or 10 tucks, less flowy. Any other questions or comments? Or even questions about training and onboarding or any of that stuff? No? Michael, you got any questions?
No, I feel great. What I do appreciate is the squat cue, standing with your knees locked, tuck the back pockets, the bottom of the back pockets to break at the knees. That's really nice.
Nice. Yeah, I figured that out this week.
Yeah, that felt different. It really did.
Nice. Awesome. And then hopefully, like with my clients, it's like we've already done it so many times, and this is the last one we're doing. Because that's a hard one for people to get, the tucking standing position.
Yeah.
We didn't do it today. I've been doing tall kneeling tucking, and they hold on to like a chair or something, and then they're pulling the back pockets down and then up, and then pulling the back pockets down. The cue that I've been really using, and I'll use this in half kneeling too on the training floor, because when you ask people to tuck, they do this.
Yeah.
They like shove the hip forward. So in that position, what I've been doing is like put your hand on the front of your hip, and then as your back pockets get pulled down, the front of your hip should not shove forward. And that's been money, especially in half kneeling. I'm like right here, put your hand here. As you pull the back pocket down, you should not push into your hand. That one has been awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, because
That's good.
everybody's used to the half kneeling stretch of like squeezing and then shoving the hip forward.
Right.
And then that carries over into their squat, and you're asking them to tuck, and then like they do this.
Yeah.
So really it's like
that-
trying to prevent all the problems that I know will happen. And that's where my cueings come from. People ask like, where do I get my cues? Observing other people. I learn a lot. Like 2 years ago, I watched Zach Couples go through multiple consults with my clients, and he can do that with you all if anyone's ever interested. I know Lacey does that. Michael sees him. He will assess your clients with you there. And then I just watched him coach, and I just watched him talk, and just, you learn so much by just observing someone else. And then listening to Sam Harris, like, how does he talk about this stuff? Listening to my yoga instructor, like how slow she goes, and just getting a lot from other people. And then just seeing the people move, like the reach with the arms, the letting your chin go back. When I cued it the first 50 times, every time clients like this way. So now every time I cue it, I prepare myself for that. I'm like, and allow your chin to go back, but relax your head. It's like, I already know how they're going to mess it up, so I try to prevent that from happening. Same thing with the fully exhaling. Like, I know they were going to tense up. So, like, don't do that. Just allow everything to be by your breathing or through your breathing.
I have a quick question, real quick. When you do the squats, how do you get people out of, like, what's the cue you give so they're not that like slouchy, even though like the hips are tough and you're going forward, but how do you get them out of that like slouchy?
Yeah, I start all my clients on a ramp holding onto a barbell. So they're on a ramp holding onto a barbell. So if they are doing that, I will get behind them and literally grab their hips and keep them back there. I'm like, now tuck. And then they like sit there and have to figure it out how to do it without me letting go. If that works, then like that's good, and then they got it. If they can't do it without me being there, then I move them to a wall squat. So now they're in this position and they can't shove forward because they have to keep their hips on the ground.
Oh, okay. Great.
That would be my change for those people. Another thing too is, instead of starting, Michael said he liked the knees straight this way, but sometimes people don't have any motion from this position because they are fully extended here. The hip is fully extended. So in order for you to tuck, you have to have that range of motion. If someone doesn't have that range of motion, that might be why you're seeing this. It's like they can't do that, so they gotta do this. So starting them with their hips back a little bit. So they're here, hinge back a little bit, now tuck, and then try to put them in the position I want them. So that might be another fix too, is hinge back, tuck the hips, and shoot the knee forward a little bit.
Yeah, that's great.
And even when people are doing goblet squats, I tend to hinge back a little bit, tuck, and then now squat straight down. It doesn't allow the hips to go like straight up and down like I would want them to, but it's good enough.
Right.
Yeah, good question. Any other questions on coaching, healing?
I read your like article that people were talking about kind of your squat progression, and I know in that you also mentioned that like you teach squats pretty early, but you hold off on deadlifts because you're in a small group setting and it can be like hard for people to get it. So like when I'm coaching, it's usually me as the only like coach adult and like 30, 15-year-old boys. So teaching them to deadlift and like be able to do it safely and independently is definitely a challenge. Do you have kind of a progression you tend to go through for deadlifting as well?
Did you see the article on deadlifting?
I did not.
Okay, I will, let me find that one and send it. So with that one in the article, I like to pair things with deadlifts. For example, the tall kneeling. So that is in the chat now. So what I like to do is I like to pair things like tall kneeling. Most people are not going to be able to get you like a perfect tuck in tall kneeling because of that quad component, but they can drive that position. And I'm like, this is the top position of your deadlift. This is the top position of your deadlift. Feel that position. Now when they go to the deadlift, I usually have them start at the top. I'm like, find that position, and now reach your hips back. That seems to work really well. And then I like to add things like walkouts and ball slams in someone's program before they deadlift. And it gives me some type of idea if they're even able to hinge. Because in the walkouts, when they're reaching their hips back, like if they kind of look like this, I'm like, okay, they got it. But if they're like looking like that, I tend to hold off. And then just regular ball slams when people are first starting. If they're not hinging and it looks awful, like that's fine. It's 2-3 pounds. But I'm trying to coach it to see if they're even capable of doing it. I'm like, hips back, hips back. That would be some of my tips. But the article I just sent shows you all the other stuff as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Cool. So next week, I'll still do this. And I think it's at noon. I also have my talk for the Female Fitness Alliance. So if you're going to be on that, that would be awesome. I thought it was going to be like 50 people, but apparently there's 500.
Whoa.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
Awesome.
cool.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah, it's really awesome.
That's awesome.
It really, huh?
Are they doing anything this time this year, or did I get my dates mixed up? I thought
No,
it
PD is today.
okay.
I think it's at noon. I have to check after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at noon Eastern, and I emailed her because we're doing a social distance family backyard party then, and she said they're recording it.
Mm-hmm.
By backyard party, I mean 4 of us. Just to be clear, we're not breaking any laws.
I need to do that. Yeah, that's what I've actually had to get my clients to do that. We started, because we had to close down our gym, we started doing small group coaching calls, like lifestyle coaching, which is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. But it's turned into a support group. And just like, let's just manage things. Let's hang out with a friend today, social distance, because we need some interaction. Yeah, it's been tough. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for attending.
Thank you so much.
This
Yeah.
was great.
Thank you.
That was
Have a
awesome.
good day.
Have a good Sunday. Bye.
Bye-bye.